In my previous videos on sleep, I reviewed the psychological, physiological, and neurological consequences of poor sleep. I also reviewed one of the main causes of poor sleep, which is circadian rhythm disruption, and what to do about it. In my last 3 videos on sleep, I reviewed a number of things that affect our sleep, including the use of sleep medication, alcohol, caffeine, cannabis, exercise, and the timing of meals. All of these can affect our sleep, especially our physiological activation, which is one of the main causes of poor sleep, and we're going to focus on this again today. So far, we've focused a lot on what to avoid to improve our sleep and to reduce our physiological activation. But now I want to focus a bit more on what you should be doing instead. In this video, I want to review how to reduce physiological activation and how this will help you fall asleep and stay asleep. I'm Dr. Friesen from Friesen Performance, where I help you achieve your greatest potential by optimizing your psychology, physiology, and neurology. As I keep saying in these videos, if you want to take your productivity and performance to the next level, you're going to need to improve your sleep. Recall that physiological activation refers to our brain and body being overactivated. This is the sympathetic branch of our autonomic nervous system. We're designed not to be able to fall asleep if we are keyed up or physiologically activated. We've all been there. We lie down to sleep, but we feel keyed up. Maybe we can hear our heart beating, or feel hot, or our muscles feel tight. Sometimes you can feel your hands feeling sweaty, or even the back of your legs getting sweaty. These are all signs of physiological activation. We now know what to avoid, but let's focus on what we should be doing instead to reduce our physiological activation. One of the most important ways to reduce physiological activation is something I've already covered in previous videos. This is the exposure to bright light in the mornings and the reduction of bright and especially blue light in the evenings. I reviewed how you need your eyes to be exposed to bright light within about an hour of waking up in the morning, whether that's from the sun or from a light box, as this sets your circadian rhythm for the day. It tells your brain and body that in about 15 or 16 hours, you need to go to sleep. Your physiology will naturally start to wind down. And as I reviewed in previous videos, in the evenings, you need to reduce your exposure to bright light, especially blue light. This can be through the use of blue blocking glasses or programs on your computer like F-Lux. If you prevent this light exposure, you allow your pineal gland, which is at the base of your brain, to produce melatonin. This prepares your mind and body for sleep, and in turn reduces your physiological activation. The next thing I want to talk about is exercise. In my previous videos, I've already talked about the bad things that happen if you exercise too close to bed. When you do this, your core body temperature can go up, and at night we need our core body temperature to go down. Exercise speeds up our metabolism, epinephrine or adrenaline gets released, and this wakes us up. This is physiological activation. However, regular daytime exercise improves our ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, and this has been shown in numerous studies. But of course, don't overdo it. If you overtrain, you're not going to be able to sleep properly, or if you're too sore, it's going to interfere with your ability to fall asleep. The more stress you have in your life, the more exercise tends to improve your sleep according to research. And it actually doesn't really matter too much what type of exercise you do. Research has shown that yoga, aerobic exercise, resistance training, all of these contribute to improvements in sleep. The stress hormone cortisol is supposed to peak in the mornings. This allows us to wake up, but we want our cortisol to come down in the evenings. Research has found that insomniacs, or those of us who have trouble sleeping, tend to have high cortisol in the evenings, sometimes right before we go to bed, and sometimes also in the middle of the night. High cortisol levels in the evening is a sign of physiological activation. If you want to do some exercise in the evenings, the best exercise seems to be walking. Walking is low intensity, but it also serves to reduce cortisol. Ideally, you want to go for a walk outside. Andrew Huberman from Stanford has talked about the research behind this. When we walk outside and we look into the distance and relax our gaze so we have a broad focus, not a narrow focus, our nervous system tends to relax. You can also think of walking as a way of quote unquote burning off cortisol. It reduces cortisol, brings down physiological activation, and allows us to fall asleep. In terms of my own personal experience with exercise and sleep, what I definitely find is when I don't exercise, I have a hard time sleeping. I'm a high energy person, so if I don't exercise during the day, I feel like I have too much energy in the evenings. And consistent with the research, I've also found if I work out too late in the evenings, especially when I used to play hockey in the evenings, which is kind of a combination of HIIT or high intensity interval training for about an hour and aerobic exercise, I found that I could not get my physiology to relax enough to go to sleep. It would often take me a few hours to get down to sleep. Another way to reduce physiological activation is to reduce your core body temperature. When your core body temperature is up, that means you're physiologically activated. Your core body temperature has to go down a few degrees in order to fall asleep. You can facilitate this by reducing the temperature in your bedroom in the evenings. There's some evidence that reducing the temperature in your room can help you fall into deeper sleep faster, but you can take this too far. Some people turn their bedroom temperature too low and you can be uncomfortably cold. Similarly, a lot of people are taking cold showers. Cold showers are really designed for the morning. What happens is if you take a cold shower or you go out in the winter in the snow without too many clothes on, your body gets cold, but your core temperature starts to heat up after the fact to try and protect itself. This is part of homeostasis. In my experience, I've tried taking cold showers in the evenings, and as the research is pointing out, it made my sleep worse. I'd often feel jittery, my muscles would get tense, and I'd have a hard time settling down. We know that exposure to cold showers increases epinephrine, which basically wakes us up. It's the opposite of what we want. So cold showers seem to have the opposite effect. It raises your core body temperature. Of course, if your room temperature is too hot, it makes it harder to fall asleep and decreases your sleep quality. So ideally, you drop your room temperature by about 3 degrees Celsius or 6 or 7 degrees Fahrenheit. One way to facilitate your core body temperature going down in the evenings is to take a warm shower. Not a hot shower, but a warm shower. What happens is your body tries to compensate by cooling itself off, and therefore your core body temperature drops. I personally don't take warm showers in the evenings, but if I found this was an issue, I'd probably try it. So what I do is drop my room temperature by about 3 degrees Celsius, from about 21 degrees down to about 19. This is about 71.5 degrees Fahrenheit to about 66 degrees Fahrenheit. I find that this really helps me fall asleep. The last thing I want to cover today that has some potential to reduce our physiological activation is lavender oil. The aroma of lavender has been used for thousands of years, dating back to the Greeks and Romans, when it comes to relaxing ourselves. There's research that smelling the aroma of lavender, also known as aromatherapy, reduces anxiety and stress. There's also some research that it helps with sleep. Research shows that smelling lavender throughout the night or before bed increases deep sleep. This is the slow wave sleep that allows our brain to clean itself, as I discussed in previous videos. Researchers believe that the effect of lavender is due to the fact that it enhances the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA, which basically calms the nervous system down. However, you want to be careful. New research has found that for some boys, adolescent boys, the smell of lavender or using lavender supplements has resulted in a decrease in androgens like testosterone and an increase in estrogen. So be careful. My experience with lavender has been pretty positive. I put about 2 drops of lavender oil on my pillow. I find that it does calm me slightly, or if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can smell the lavender, it tends to make me more relaxed. I think part of this is the lavender effect, but also a part of it is simply classical conditioning. Think of Pavlov's dogs. So I associate that smell with being tired and sleeping. So remember, avoid blue light and bright light in the evenings and get as much bright light, especially from the sun, during the days. This prepares your body to wind down in the evenings and increases the production of melatonin. Exercise earlier in the day, but don't overdo it. Consider taking a warm but not hot shower in the evenings to help reduce your core body temperature. consider turning down your room temperature by a few degrees in the evenings. This should help reduce your core body temperature as well. And lastly, consider if using lavender oil is right for you. In the next video, I'm going to review what supplements have been shown to hinder sleep and what supplements tend to help with your sleep. If you like this video, please hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to be alerted to upcoming videos. Share with friends or family or anyone you think might benefit. So until next time, keep moving forward.